Alright, what's up everyone, I'm Loki, and today we are back with another video. It's been a minute, school started back up, and I've spent the last week trying to get on track for that, get everything prepared for that, so I can actually, put some more time back into the YouTube channel and stay on top of everything. So that's what I've been doing for the last week. No videos, unfortunately, but now I'm back with a video, and I think it's going to be a pretty interesting one. I'm going to be taking a look back at my 2020 season predictions and seeing how wrong I was. Now, to start it off, I'll keep it a little bit simple. In my prediction video, I said that we go 12-4. We did go 12-4, but that's not really where the issues arise with my prediction. I predicted who we'd win, who we'd lose to. I predicted the scores for each game, and yeah, that's where the problems start to arise. In my 2020 predictions, I said that we would lose to 4 teams. Those 4 teams are the Dallas Cowboys, the Arizona Cardinals, the Buffalo Bills, and the San Francisco 49ers. Now, I think all those teams were good going into that season. The 49ers were an amazing team coming off of a Super Bowl appearance, so I really thought that they would do better, but they got absolutely demolished by injuries this season, so that was quite unfortunate. I said we'd lose to them in Week 17, and the Dallas Cowboys, it was really just me saying that, the Seahawks always have that game in the season where they just completely underperformed for no reason. And, unfortunately, it wasn't the Dallas Cowboys, who are actually a pretty talented offensive team and defensive team. It was the Giants, where we put up 12 points in that game. So that was quite unfortunate that instead of the Cowboys, I wouldn't like to lose the Cowboys. I don't like Cowboys fans, so I would not have been a fan of losing to that team. But losing to the Giants, they just looked like a way worse team that season. Their defense did come to play, so I'm not too upset about that. But, we did lose to the Bills. We did lose to the Cardinals. The fashion in which we lost to them was completely different than what I predicted, but we'll get into that a little bit later. There should be something on the screen with an amazing graph, amazing chart table thing I made in Microsoft Word. It honestly took me way longer than it should have, being how simple it was. Of course, you can see the scores that I predicted, the win or the loss. You can tell by green and red what I predicted, win or loss, and then the actual one shows the wins and losses with the actual scores. Now, as you can see from the table, some of the predictions when it comes to scores are just completely off. Like that Bills game, I said we'd lose. I said 27-21. Put a lot more faith in my defense than I really should have, because we ended up giving up 44 points. I also said that when we'd lose to the Cardinals, it would be 24-13, a pretty low scoring, really good defensive game. And I was completely wrong. It was just a game filled of mistakes by Russell Wilson, our defense not playing well, and some really great plays by our offense, and it was 37-34. Basically, this entire prediction thing, I way overestimated our defense and way underestimated our offense. And that brings me to the next absolutely horrible graph that I made in Microsoft Word. Took me a lot less time than the first one, but this shows the points that I predicted we'd score, the points that we actually scored, the points I predicted we would allow, and the points that we actually allowed throughout the season. And throughout my predictions of the scores of the season, I predicted that we would only score 390 points. Now, I was completely wrong. We actually broke the franchise record for points scored. We had 457. So I really underestimated our offense. And, honestly, that's a good thing. Our offense sucked in the second half of the season, but the first half we were absolutely killing it. And when it came to the defense, my God, was I completely wrong about our defense. I completely overestimated our defense this season. We had great talent. It was just, we played absolutely atrocious for some ungodly reason in the first half of the season. Second half, we definitely picked it up. We looked like an amazing defense second half of the season. But, early on, we were absolutely atrocious. I predicted that we would only give up 305 points. But in reality, our defense actually gave up 371 points. So, not that bad when you look at our offense versus our defense when it comes to points scored versus points against. Technically, we scored more points than the other teams. So, we would win more games than we'd lose. That's what we did. We went 12-4. Divisional record 4-2. So, basically, my predictions for the entire season were correct. It was just the matter of fact that we lost to teams that I thought we would beat. The Rams, I assumed the Rams would just be absolutely atrocious this season, but they ended up doing really well. They had really good defense. That's something that you can kind of expect. I thought Jared Goff would be worse than he actually was. I didn't think their run game would be as good as it was since Todd Gurley left. So I thought the Rams would kind of be a team that we would walk through when it came to the offense. Like, our defense would just completely dominate them, and their defense would do good against us, but we'd outperform them. So I said we'd win both games against the Rams, and we actually ended up losing a game pretty badly to the Rams. We did win both games against the 49ers to kind of make up for that misstep in the predictions. Bills, I was right that we'd lose to the Bills. We lost way worse than we should have. Cardinals, I was kind of right. We came out of the bye week, looked like bad. And then the prediction of losing to the Cowboys, basically it could have happened any time of the season where we just have a bad game that we ended up losing, and that was against the Giants in reality. So I mean my prediction was kind of right. We lose to the Bills, we lose to the Cardinals, two bad games. We lose to the 49ers is what I said, but we lost to the Rams instead, which is still a divisional opponent. And we would lose to a random team for absolutely no reason, because the Seahawks just always have an absolutely atrocious game against a horrible team just every single season. There's going to be one or two. And I was kind of right about that. I'm kind of proud of my predictions. But I mean, I think I did well in the predictions. There are also some other things I predicted that were pretty easy to predict. I said that Russell Wilson would have over 4,000 passing yards and over 30 touchdowns. I was right about that. He actually had 40 passing touchdowns, so that was good. But the interceptions were way too high. He had a lot of bad interceptions this year. DK Metcalf, I predicted he'd have over 1,000 yards, and he did. Chris Carson, I predicted he'd have over 1,000 yards, and he actually didn't. So that was one thing that I got wrong. But overall, I think that my predictions from before the season, I also predicted we'd have a preseason. That didn't happen. But I think my predictions were pretty good. I honestly think that we did quite all right this season. You know, I mentioned in that video, I don't even want to think about the playoffs, and it still holds true. I don't want to think about the playoffs. We did not do good in the playoffs, but you know, maybe next season. Hopefully next season we'll go into that season, maybe have a better offensive line. Maybe we'll have a different offensive coordinator that'll actually be dynamic. We'll see what happens next season. There's a lot of things that could change for better or for worse, depending on who we sign as an offensive coordinator and what we do in the draft. But we'll see what happens going into next season. Hopefully we can make the playoffs and do a lot better than we did this year in the playoffs, but we'll see how it goes. Honestly, for my 2020 predictions, I'm kind of proud of myself. 12-4. I also said in that video that the over-under for Seahawks wins was 9.5 wins, and I said that I would put every single dollar, every single penny I had on that, because I mean, the Seahawks were going to win over 9 games. We were going to have double-digit wins with how easy our schedule was. And unfortunately, I was too young to bet at the time. I also live in a state that doesn't allow for sports betting. So, I mean, that was pretty unfortunate. Quite upset, because I could have made a lot of money off of that, because I would have put so much money on the Seahawks winning 9.5 or more games. That was such a free bet, and I'm very upset that I couldn't bet on that. But hopefully anyone watching this video, if you were able to bet on sports and you bet on the Seahawks going over the 9.5 wins, congratulations. You probably made some money. That's pretty nice. You know, money off of your team doing well is pretty cool. So hopefully someone bet on that at least. But you know, there are also some other things that I predicted that I'm going to go back and take a look at in kind of hindsight, retrospect. I think that's interesting to look back at kind of what I thought would happen before the season and see what actually happened. But with that, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know down below in the comments what your predictions were going into the season and if you were accurate. I saw a lot of 11-5s, 10-6s, 12-4s, and 13-3s in the comments of the actual original video. So leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe if you're new. And with that, I'd like to thank you for watching. Have a great day.